Right, we've got ourselves a problem. This is always going to be in the back of my mind with the hothouse being sunken. This is actually nearly 3 foot below normal ground level. That used to be my koi pond, and with all the storms and rain we've been having, that water table has risen and permeated up through the ground to give me well, it's Sunday today, so Saturday when I first noticed the problem, we had 6 inches of water in here, which I pumped out. So that was yesterday, and I pumped it so it's dry, and so the water table has dropped slightly, so we've got about 3 inches of water at the moment. So if I get a broom and give you an example of how, so yeah, it's about 2.5–3 inches of water in that. First of all, I see it and just sort of panicked and thought, well, let's write off a lot of these plants straight away, because they've been sitting in water maybe for 3 or 4 days. It's not going to be good. But as I looked around, I thought, well, actually I've done a pretty good job of the stuff that wants to be dry, all on tables, all on the shelves. So it's only the sort of the really hardy stuff which wouldn't mind a bit of moisture in the cold, which is actually on the floor. So in reality, I don't think we're going to lose anything potted wise. I mean, I'm not happy about the queen palm. I did put some blocks under it and raise it up a little bit, because that's one that's not going to want wet roots when it's cold. But yeah, everything else sort of potted wise, not too worried about. Like I say, sort of half hardy stuff which is just in here to keep it looking good rather than to actually sort of protect it. Obviously the plantings at the end, I haven't got wellies on, so I'm not going to wade in, but we've still got a lot of the alocasias and colocaceas in full leaf at the bottom there. And again, that is in a raised planted scenario, but obviously it is going to sponge up some of that water. So what I kept in mind is I did, when I planted them up, they're probably about 18 inches raised bed at the back there, and we're talking right at the back here with the raised bed permanent plantings. I really did think, well, when I'd done this, there was a chance that there's some moisture going to raise up. I didn't expect it actually to flood as such, but we did have in the back of our mind that there could be moisture, so that isn't a really free drain and mix. So up to now, everything's done okay, even in the cooler weather, but I do believe that you may get some losses in that area, but again, not too concerned, because we've got alocasias and colocaceas and some bird of paradise and all sorts of plants in there. So yesterday when I pumped the water out, I did have a feel of the surface of that raised bed area, and it's still pretty dry, so it's a really free drain and mix. So hopefully it's just the deeper roots, which if they do get wet and rot off, and it's not a big deal, because all the corms are well above the actual flood area. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna get, some of them colocaceas are obviously starting to get a bit raggedy now, and we've had a mild winter, but we are in for a couple of weeks of cooler weather. Saying that, cooler weather normally means you get a bit more sunny, so in here that'll be about the same as mild weather, so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I expect some of these colocaceae now just to really sort of die down. The leaves will probably rot off and die down, but hopefully the corms will make it through. Yeah, so again, because you know, I did have in the back of my mind, this is well below soil level. To be honest, I'm in Suffolk and we're one of the driest counties in the UK, and we don't really get a lot of rain. I mean, especially in the summer, but in the winter even, we're probably definitely the driest area in the winter. But yeah, we've never seen anything like this sort of in the way of you know, rainfall. I mean, last year, if you're a long-term viewer, you know that I had a polytunnel in this sunken area last year, so this hothouse weren't here. This was just open, so I just closed the pond down. I just put a polytunnel in here, and we obviously didn't have any flooding then. But last year we didn't really get any storms at all, whereas this year we literally just had about 8 on the trot. You know, within we're not gone more than a week without some sort of named storm coming in. But yeah, the last one really did. We got a lot of rain, so yeah, I'm not entirely surprised. And you know, again, this was a pond originally. There is 2 bottom drains with 4-inch pipework sort of under the floor level in here. So I thought, you know, any chances of sort of heavy rains, that would all sort of drain away. But obviously with the pure amount of rain we've had, the water table's just risen up so much it can't drain away. You know, that's what it is. You know, underground, this is where the water level is, so not much we can do about that, other than in the spring what I will do is, where I've got a bottom drain roughly underneath where this queen palm is pot, and they're quite big. They're quite big bottom drains. So what I'm looking to, so I've got my little, luckily I had my pond pump still wired up from when the pond was here, and I had the pump sitting there, so I can literally just chuck it in and pump the water out. But ideally that would be in the bottom drain, so sort of sub floor level. So as soon as we did get any rain and we noticed any slight sort of rise in the water table, then I can just flick a switch, pump it out. So I can literally put the pump itself in the bottom drain, and the pipe work can go through the 4-inch pipe work underground and out to the side. So that'll be the plan next year, to avoid this situation. But again, it's not the end of the world. I mean, a lot of plants, you know, are feeling the winter now. You know, we've had mild weather, but you know, with the lack of sunshine, it's unsurprising that a lot of plants are really struggling now. And you can hear that the pump's now getting to a level where it's pulling in a bit of air. Yeah, so it's not ideal, but it could have been worse. It's not a complete disaster, but it's definitely not a situation I want to be in. And like I say, I mean, you've got to have every eventuality in mind when it comes to this sort of thing. So luckily, yeah, I was sort of prepared in a sense, but I didn't really think it'd happen, but it has, so here we go. But I mean, other than that, you know, storm-wise, we've had no ill effects in any other parts of the garden. All the shelters that are still up are still there, and yeah, everything's still okay at the moment. We're now heading into this cold period for at least a couple of weeks. we're not actually due for any frost where I am because I'm right on the coast, but that could change. We know that changes by the day. At the minute, the lowest we're looking at is maybe -1 sometime in about 5 or 6 days time, maybe, I don't know. That keeps changing. But if we do get any frost, then I will obviously be chucking some fleece bags over certain plants like the Paragebaea and maybe a few others, just to keep things looking nice. I mean, not that anything's going to die at -1 or 2, but you know what, if I've got the time to do it, I will do it. Yeah, so just really an update on the hothouse, and it's I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but I'd sort of this weekend sort of hit a mental block and didn't really know what to do a video on, but nature provided that for me. So what I will do is, I mean, when it comes to this hothouse, what I have done is I did do the floor at a slight gradient, so it's higher that end and a bit lower this end. So what will happen is that'll run dry at this end, and I still have a couple of inches this end, so that worked out quite nicely for the pump. So I can get in there when it's a bit lower and just sweep the water down this end. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything that's gonna suffer too much. I mean, the queen palm, yes, I've got a couple of palms on the floor. At the other end I've got a Chamaedorea Metallica, and I've got the Nikko palm as well. So what I will do is, once I pump the water out, I'll raise them up on blocks, and that will, because even though I'm pumping the water out, the ground water level is at a certain level, that's just going to slowly permeate back in. So you know, that's going to come back to an extent until the whole water table drops a bit in the next few days, hopefully, because we're not really due for any rain. It's supposed to be a bit of a dry patch with this cooler high pressure. So yeah, that is what's going on at the moment. So we can see, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but we can see it's nearly sort of running dry at the back there, and as we can hear, the pump is starting to struggle. So what I'm going to do is just put a wedge under that, so it's actually, the intake for the pump is submerged, so it's not pulling in air. This is one of these pumps that, if it runs out of water, it'll turn itself off. So yeah, I will just probably at this point get in there and start sweeping the water forward, wedge that pump up, and get as much water out as we can. Yeah, so that is what's going on. So again, half of it was in the back of mine, half is a bit lucky really, that most of the plants will take being wet and cold. I mean, I've got a lot of small Trachycarpus crosses down here. These are just waggy Fortunei crosses, and they don't mind being in, having wet feet. The bigger plants are in taller pots, so you know, tree ferns and things like that, and even the big giant bird of paradise there, because it's in such a big pot. Yes, it's going to suck up the water a little bit, but it's still going to hopefully not totally saturate the roots. It's not that the roots are sitting in water, it's sitting in wet compost. So hopefully, with the door and window open for a bit, I mean, it's a bit of a breeze today. It is cool, and it's about 6 degrees, but the wind chill, they're saying about 1 degree, so it doesn't feel warm out here, but it's still, I wouldn't say mild, but it's, you know, what you expect for this time of year. So you know, plants don't feel wind chill, so it's still going to feel 6 degrees to them, so it's not as if it's sort of a frigidly cold weather. So we're going to air it out all day, so we don't get too much humidity build up, get a nice airflow going through, and hopefully in the next few days that will subside and we'll get back to normal. So I'll probably do an update on this next week and see where we are in terms of, hopefully the water level will have totally gone down by then, and we'll look into any plants that will need moving at that point. Right, I think we'll leave it there. So yeah, it's not ideal, it's a bit of a disaster, but I don't think all is lost. We may lose the odd plant here and there, but to be honest, if the stuff was outside you'd probably lose a plant or two. And like I say, the main thing is all the plants that are going to be sensitive to this dampness all up on shelves or out the way. So we're not, any of the rarer, harder to get stuff is fully protected in that sense. So it's only the hardy stuff really is on floor level, luckily. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, we'll catch you on the next one.